It's been a very active offseason for the Columbus Blue Jackets as they look to take the next step forward. Jay Forster of Locked On Blue Jackets joins us to discuss the impact of the moves they've made and what needs to be done. All that and more coming up next on today's Locked On NHL Podcast.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Gil Martin here. Welcome, everybody, to the Monday episode of the Locked On NHL Podcast. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On NHL your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. It is my pleasure to welcome back to the show the host of Locked On Blue Jackets, Jay Forster. And Jay, the Blue Jackets have been pretty busy this offseason. What move stands out most in your mind?
Yeah, it's weird because it feels like they haven't done a lot. And then you look at the moves and you're actually, there's been a lot of outward movement, a lot of inward movement. The one move that stands out to me, I think, in a positive way is not really a move at all, but it's the decision to bring Dante Fabro back. Zach Werenski had an incredible season, obviously, and I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. However, it's not lost on me that he had this season the first time he's had a consistent defense partner since Seth Jones left in 2021. And I think bringing Dante Fabro back is key to keeping the Werenski at the level that he played this season. And it's an extremely team-friendly deal for $4.125 million for the next 4 seasons, for him to play next to Werenski, who is probably going to have another, 80 to 90 point season. So it was probably an easy decision for him to stick around. But I think that to me is the move that stands out, which is, I guess, the decision to not make a move and not make a change and not try to upgrade, because Dante Fabro was not the best available UFA defenseman, right? But he was the best fit for that top right defenseman spot next to Werenski. So the decision to go there instead of upgrading somewhere else, I think is key.
What about the best new addition?
Best new addition. That's a tough one. I wasn't sure about the trade at first because I do think the Blue Jackets gave up a lot. I am really interested to see what they get out of Charlie Coyle this season. It feels bad to say that he's, aging out of the league a little bit because he is 33 years old, and that's, it's no age really, but in the NHL, it's getting up there in age. But he is a right shot center, which the Blue Jackets didn't have a right shot center on the entire roster. He is a very, very capable middle six forward. There's a weird kind of void in the lineup right now, which is who's going to play with Adam Fantilli and Kent Johnson. I think bringing in a guy like Charlie Coyle, either he can potentially play there, or they can stick him on that third line center, and that frees up a guy like Cole Sillinger to maybe move up. It gives them a lot more flexibility in the lineup. I think they are better in the bottom 6 than they were last season. Losing James Van Riemsdyk sucks. He was a big addition this past season. I thought he was great. I really wanted to keep him around. But I do think that the players that they brought in for the bottom 6 are, for the most part, improvements on what left.
The Blue Jackets select a goalie in the first round of this year's draft. Turns out he will not be in North America for at least 4 years, signs a contract with the KHL. Is this a big deal, or is this something that isn't going to hurt this team?
Straight up, no.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of hand-wringing about this. Well, first, the first thing that's important to know is the Blue Jackets knew about this contract extension before they drafted him. It was made official a couple of days ago, but when they drafted him, they knew he was either it was agreed to and he hadn't signed yet, or that he was going to agree to it. The fact of the matter is, that's just kind of how long it takes to develop a goalie, right? Even if they brought him over to North America and like threw him in the USHL or the CHL or like sent him to college or whatever, like it takes 4 to 5 years for a goalie to be NHL ready anyway. And I would much rather have him playing on a KHL team than playing on an AHL team. I think the AHL is a fine place for a lot of players to develop. I'm not convinced, and this is maybe a little bit hypocritical of me because I do think they did a very good job developing Jet Greaves, but I don't necessarily think the AHL is the best place to develop a goalie as young as Andrianov, who is only 18 years old. He's going to be playing for CSKA Moscow next season, hopefully. He's got some competition for that job. But I think keeping him in Russia is... Would I love to see him sooner? Sure. But he was never going to be a Blue Jacket before the year 2030 anyway, which sounds like a long way away. But like when you look at the top young goalies of this most recent like season, so like Yaroslav Askarov of the Sharks springs to mind. He was, I believe, a 2020 draft pick. He is only just making his kind of role, like he's only just stepping into his role as potential NHL starter next season, so the 25-26 season. Similarly, Dustin Wolf was a 2019 NHL draft pick. He played his first full NHL season this most recent season at the age of, he's what, 24? Yeah, he just turned 24 in April. So like, if he's 22, 23 when he gets here, like that's just kind of how old a goalie is when they are typically ready to step into the NHL.
How comfortable are you with the goaltending situation in Columbus now? Because obviously it's been on and off an issue for quite some time.
I am cautiously optimistic, I think. I think that they tried really hard to move Elvis this offseason and nothing came through because the goalie market was garbage, let's say. I'm not thrilled that he is like here. I think he deserves a fresh start. I think he's kind of... Elvis in Columbus, I feel like, has kind of run its course. And I'm sure what's going to happen is he will go somewhere else and have a fine career on another team. I don't know that Columbus is the place for him to really succeed. I am really, really excited about Jet Greaves. So I think my level of comfortability with the goaltending situation in Columbus right now falls almost entirely on what's the split in net, right? Because if it's a 1A, 1B situation, I can live with that. Like, it seems to me like the ideal is like 60-40 in favor of Jet Greaves, the kid. Elvis is a goalie that shows flashes of brilliance, but is frequently injured, gets fatigued a lot. He's not the most durable goalie. He misses a lot of time. And I do think that if you limit him to like 30-ish games, 35 at the outside, you will get a fresher Elvis, you will get a better Elvis. And I think if he does need to step into the starter role, then having him with fresher legs, I think will help. I don't think he wants to be a backup, but I think that's probably what's coming down the line. I think Jet has earned the right to see if he's got what it takes as a starter. Obviously, that incredible stretch at the end of last season, where he went like 6-0, I think, and had 2 shutouts in that time. I think he's earned his right to see what he's got. If he struggles, Elvis is there to step in. For all the criticism Elvis faces, he is still an NHL goalie, right? I know a lot of people talk about him like he's an ECHL level goalie. He's an NHL goalie, right? Is he the goalie that the Blue Jackets needed last season? No. But he will be fine if they need to turn to him. I would have liked a different option, but it is what it is.
Fair enough. Jay, why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners where they could find the podcast and where they could find you on social media?
Yes, you can find Locked On Blue Jackets anyway. You can find Locked On NHL. We're on all podcast platforms. We are over on YouTube. You can find me on Blue Sky at JAKOBFORSTER. You can find the show at LO_Blue Jackets on Twitter and LO-Blue Jackets on Blue Sky. And today's episode is all about Adam Fantilli and what kind of contract extension he might sign. So go and check that out if you are at all interested in Adam Fantilli.
All right, Jay, thanks so much.
Thanks, Gil.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. It's easy to use, fast to pay out, and it makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. Whether I'm placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet ride into the ninth inning, FanDuel makes it feel like I'm part of the action. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Again, that's $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started.